Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Backyard Buckets video. And again, in preparation for the draft, we're going to be talking about the top 5 players in the draft, in my opinion. But before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. It really helps the video out in the YouTube algorithm when you leave a like, and it only takes a couple seconds to like and subscribe, so make sure you go do that. But today, we're going to be talking about, like I said, the top 5 players in this year's draft, and first is Anthony Edwards. Edwards is a 6'5", 235-pound shooting guard out of the University of Georgia. A very explosive offensive player. He can score, rebound, he can play defense when he wants to. Obviously, you're on a losing team. Your motives to play defense are not really there. And Georgia was not the greatest team last year, but he finished 3rd in the SEC in scoring, averaging 19 points a game. Took home All-Conference Second Team and Freshman of the Year honors, and put some of the best performances of the season on while at Georgia. He was arguably the #1 player in the class coming into the year, and when James Wiseman went out, he was probably the clear best freshman going into the draft this year, besides obviously Melo, who was overseas. Deni Avdija was overseas. And this draft, I can't say it enough, is shrouded by mystery because you haven't had all your off-season stuff and a lot of uncertainty. Next up, oh my goodness. Next up on the list, we have James Wiseman, the 7'1" center, 235 pounds, out of the University of Memphis. He only played 3 games in college this year due to the fact that he got suspended for allegations with his coach giving him money. He was eligible to come back 12 games later, but decided not to prepare for the NBA draft. Averaged 20 points during those 3 games. Granted, they didn't play all that much competition, but they did play number 14 ranked at the time, Oregon, I do believe. Or maybe they were 14th and Oregon was 11th. Can't remember. But he played 23 minutes a game, averaged, like I said, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks, only 1 turnover and only 1 foul. Didn't hit a 3 during those 3 games, but he shot 80% from the field, just about. But this dude's just a physical freak, standing over 7 foot, 7'6" wingspan. He can run and jump. Great athlete, great size. He can anchor a defense in the NBA, and he can do just about everything. He will have to continue to develop his offensive game, though, at the next level. Next up at number 3, and the top 3 and 4 are probably the consensus going into the draft, but it's LaMelo Ball. He's 6'7" point guard. He played pro basketball since he was 16. Averaged 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists last year in a professional basketball league. He's been on scouts' radar ever since him and Lonzo, LiAngelo, Eli Scott, and Onyeka Okongwu went on that run with Chino Hills, and they won a state championship, and he was only 14 years old. So he is one of the youngest players in this draft because he reclassified to play with Lonzo and LiAngelo and all those guys. And, he can score from anywhere on the court, but he's not the greatest shooter. Doesn't have the greatest. He's got above average basketball IQ, I would say, but he just sometimes he has a tendency to take shots, to force shots, kind of like Anthony Edwards. But he's probably got the most potential in the draft, and so that's a huge plus for him. Next up on the list, we have Deni Avdija. If that's not how you say his name, don't attack me. I'm not Israeli. But he is a prototypical modern NBA wing, standing at 6'7" to 6'8", varying on what reports you look at. He's only 18. He's been playing pro basketball for for the last couple years over in Israel at the top level, as well as the guy that we just dropped a video on last night. Yeah, Yam Madur, I think is how you say his name. But yeah, Denny, he's a beast. He can, I mean, he's kind of boom or bust, which is why you're not seeing him projected in the top 3 as much, but he can shoot it, he can pass it, he's a bigger guy. Like, he's got the prototypical NBA frame, and yeah, I think he could be a star, but he could also be a bust. And last but not least, we have Saddiq Bey, who is a bit of a surprise, but I'm really high on this guy because I think he's the most pro-ready prospect in the draft. He's a steal as long as he's taken outside of probably the top 8 or 9. Probably top 6 or 7. If you can get him out of that, he's a steal. But he's 3-and-D, very good upside on the defensive end. And we made a video centered around him as the top steals of the draft. Obviously, he was on the thumbnail, on the main focus of that video. But he's an elite 3-and-D player. If you need somebody to be a 3-and-D that can knock down the 3, can lock up the other team's best player, this is who you want to get. Maybe like a Boston Celtics could trade up, like 8th pick or so. They could really use this, shore up some of their defense. But that's just one of the teams. I mean, other contenders can try to trade up. Maybe like the Warriors could trade down. I can see that happening. Picking up Saddiq, and I think it's how you say his name. Picking up him and a couple other picks. But yeah, I think he's probably, if not the steal of the draft, one of the steal of the drafts. But yeah, that'll be all. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching.